Ocarina of Time, a classic that has gone down in history as one of the most important 3D games ever, and due to this, many crazy claims have surfaced. However, which ones are true and which ones are false? For example, can you uproot a Deku Scrub with the Megaton Hammer? Can you freeze Bongo Bongo's hands? And what happens when you try to drink a Poe's soul? Well, let's find out. Number 20. Now on your big quest to save the world from Ganondorf, you have to venture to Death Mountain at some point, which you can only enter after showing this guard Zelda's letter. However, when you do so, the guard will tell you that your Kiri Shield isn't gonna cut it. This is an active volcano after all, so you're better off getting a proper shield in Hyrule Castle Town. And if you tell the store owner about the guard's tip, he will give you a discount. However, many folks claim that this doesn't happen whatsoever. You will pay full price for the shield no matter what. So I decided to investigate the situation. And yeah, it looks like people are right. But then I bought it to see if anything would happen. And all of a sudden I got a discount, which can vary. The maximum is 20 rupees and the minimum is 5 rupees. So yeah, the discount is real. And people online were just confused because the discount wasn't applied immediately. You only see it as soon as you try to buy it. So in the end, it is a thing. Number 19. Back in the day, before the internet was as big as it is now, it was a lot harder to figure out if a claim or myth was fake or real. And so for a long time, some rumors out there were borderline impossible to verify. So most either thought they were definitely real or 100% fake. One great example of this is the Halan Loach, a special fish that could be found in the fishing pond close to Lake Hylia. According to folks online, it is very rare, incredibly hard to catch, requires certain actions for it to even spawn in the pond, and has weird erratic behavior overall. Due to this, it was a legend for a long time. But is it really in the game? Well, yes, but catching it requires a lot of patience and skill. And after looking at some guides, I can tell you it isn't easy to catch this fish, and I bet that's why all of this turned into one huge myth. Heck, you even have to enter, pay, and exit 4 times before it even spawns. So a lot of the time, it isn't even in the pond. But in the end, it is real. However, if you ever plan to catch it, I would advise that you do your homework, because man oh man, it can be super tricky. Number 18. When you finally reach Ganon's castle and beat all of the obstacles inside of it, you are left with only one task: defeat Ganondorf. And so you confront him, which leads to the most intense game of tennis where Ganondorf starts shooting energy balls at you and you have to smack them back using your sword. However, I wondered, can you only do this with a sword? I mean, we all know that the Master Sword and Big Goron sword work, as well as a bottle for some reason, but can you use any other items? Well, I decided to try a couple of things. First, I tried to use the Megaton Hammer, and while it was tricky due to the timing, it did work. So I tried the same thing with the bow, which led to me taking some hits. So I grabbed the long shot, but again, it didn't work. By the looks of it, only melee attacks work, even if they deal no damage like the bottle. And trying to use anything else in this fight is nothing more than a big waste of time. Number 17. One thing I love about Nintendo games is the Easter eggs they will hide all over the place. They are always fun, interesting, or give you great rewards. And one well-known Easter egg in Ocarina of Time is the portraits of Super Mario characters that you can see in the castle courtyard. And if you shoot at them with your slingshot, you will be able to get some rupees out of it. But apparently you can't do this everywhere, because if you shoot through the window across from this one, then you're in trouble. A guard will yell at you not to do that, and as a punishment throws a bomb at you without hesitation. Now, I had never seen this, so I shot through the window to see what would happen. And yeah, a guard does pop into frame right away and throws a bomb even though Zelda is right there! Which is pretty crazy because man, if something happens to her, he is 1000% fired. Like, no way he's gonna stay. But hey, better defend that window like it's made out of gold and jewels. But all of this does show that the claim is true. And I gotta say, this is now one of my favorite Easter eggs in the game. Number 16. Once you finally make it to Death Mountain and talk to the Goron leader Darunia, you are sent on a special quest. The Dongo caverns are infested with the Dongos and its entrance is blocked. So Link, the hero, has to solve all of these issues. Now once inside, you will quickly come across a very annoying enemy, the baby Dongo, who will constantly follow you and lunge right at you. And of course, it's not just one of them, but an entire group that will annoy the heck out of you. But there's apparently a little trick to get rid of them. For some odd reason, this enemy loves bombs and will completely ignore you in favor of an explosive. They love them so much that they will even eat them, even though it freaking kills them. But is this true? Well, I went inside of the cave and threw a bomb as soon as baby Dongos came out of the ground. And yeah, you can see that they will instantly focus on it. And one of them was even able to eat it. So weirdly enough, they love them, but as soon as they become a bit bigger, then they don't care for them at all. Number 15. After a bad game of tennis with Ganon, that is kind of boring in hindsight, it seems like he actually died, and so you and Zelda escape. But then after a lengthy escape scene with a lot of waiting, you will notice that Ganondorf isn't dead, and he even transforms into his beast form. However, before Link is able to swing his sword once, Ganon knocks it out of his hand, and so you need to resort to items in your inventory to deal damage. Now, most people choose to use the Big Goron sword or the Megaton hammer if they hadn't completed that side quest. But there is another option, apparently. An item that you rarely use and seems quite harmless, but it does damage this borderline god, the Deun Nut. An item that acts like a primitive flashbang, which normally only stuns enemies instead of dealing damage. But, according to folks online, they hurt Ganon, so I gave it a shot. And weirdly enough, this is 100% true, even though it doesn't make much sense. Now, by the looks of it, these nuts don't do much damage, and you only have time to throw one before Ganon freaks out. So, I mean, it works, but it ain't the best choice. Number 14. The Shika are a super mysterious tribe that was first introduced in Ocarina of Time, and while they are rarely seen, I mean, only Impa is a true Shika as far as I know, their presence is seen everywhere, with one thing being seen again and again, the Gossip Stones. Normally, these will just tell you the time, but if you wear the Mask of Truth, they will reveal secrets. So I don't think they were made for everyone's convenience, but as a way to spy on Hyrule's citizens. To be honest, they are a bit freaky. However, according to the internet, these statues have more powers. For example, if you play the Song of Storms in front of it, the Gossip Stone will create a big fairy. These are rarely seen in the game and are similar to normal fairies, but they don't have any wings and are much bigger. But do these really spawn when you play this song? Well, I tried it, and yeah, it does happen, which can be a handy way to farm some fairies. However, in the end, I have no idea where these come from and how any of this even works. Number 13. Now, throughout the years, you hear a lot of weird claims about these old games, and so not all the myths on this list are new to me. And that is the case with this one as well, because I saw people online talk about the ultimate way to obtain free milk. All you do is go to Lon Lon Ranch, stand in front of a cow there, and play Epona's song. If you do this, the cow will become very excited and produces a bunch of milk, allowing you to fill a bottle. So I went there and did just that. And as you can see, this cow became really excited due to this song. And you can even do this multiple times. The cow just keeps giving and never becomes tired. So yeah, if you want free milk, this is the way. Number 12. One thing that plays a surprisingly big role in this game is music. Without the ocarina, Link would have been doomed. But it isn't just used to open doors, remove barriers, and teleport. You can also use it as a weapon to stun enemies, because the Sun Song can paralyze the Re-Deads, an enemy type that is incredibly tough and will be hard to deal with if they spot you. But does that really work? Well, I went down to the crypt found in the graveyard of Kakariko Village and entered the room filled with Re-Deads. And here I played the Sun Song to deal with all of them. As you can see, it stunned them. They turn white and they won't move for quite a long time, which is great for when you want to beat them or get past them without any hassle. So this one is actually very useful. Number 11. Now clearly there are a number of secrets in the game that involve songs, and you just need to know where to play them for a special reward. And I heard of another little myth involving the Song of Storms, because apparently there's another magic object in the world that will reward you for playing it. If you stand in front of a magic bean and play the song, it will apparently grow like crazy and produces a lot of fairies. And I mean a lot. So yeah, I played the song to see what would happen. And at first, nothing happened. But luckily enough, I tried it with another. Because it doesn't work when the rain can't touch it. And I ran into that problem when I tried this with the magic bean next to the entrance to the Dongo's cavern. However, when I did this with the magic bean in Kakariko's graveyard, it did exactly what people said it would. The bean grew like crazy and produced 3 fairies, which is probably the best way to fill all your bottles with these buggers. Aside from a fairy fountain, of course. So yeah, this works. Number 10. Now, even though I have played through Ocarina of Time multiple times, there are always things that I had never heard of. And this next claim is a great example of this. Because according to folks on the internet, there are trees right outside of the Spirit Temple with nuts hanging from them, and if you shoot those, you will get a reward. Now, I was very skeptical of this, because as far as I could remember, there weren't even any trees close to the temple. So I teleported there and started looking for them. And while they weren't super close to the building, they do exist. These palm trees here have Deku nuts hanging from them, so I shot at them with my slingshot, and as you can see, you are rewarded for doing this. I got a blue rupee as well as some magic, but by the looks of it, you don't always get a reward from doing this, so I am glad that I tried it multiple times, but in the end, this one is true. Number 9. Around 2 weeks ago, we made a myth-busting video all about Majora's Mask, the sequel of this game, and in it we attempted to fix a sign using the Song of Healing. Now, after that video went live, I started to read the comments, because I always do this the first couple of days. And when I did this, I came across comments that kept saying I have to do the same thing in Ocarina of Time using Zelda's Lullaby. So I went to the well in Kakariko Village, cut it into pieces, and played the song. Now at first, I wasn't sure if it actually worked. But then a bit later the sign was fixed. However, I was confused why it took ages, until I saw that the sign fell into the well. So yeah, it took a while for it to come back up. However, as you can clearly see, this does work, but it doesn't make much sense. In Majora's Mask, the Song of Healing fixes things. For example, it's used to lift curses and put spirits to rest. However, Zelda's Lullaby does none of this. So why does it fix signs? Who knows? Number 8. Many of the Zelda staples were first seen in Ocarina of Time. Really, it walked so that the later games could run. And the Gerudo were also seen for the first time in this title. And ever since then, they have been in countless games. However, while they are friendly in the more modern titles, they were hostile in Ocarina of Time, which was actually a lot of fun. When you're an adult, you need to infiltrate their base, free prisoners, and win their respect. Now, once you did all of this, you could walk around the place without any problems, allowing you to explore. And apparently you can find loot in some odd places, because the cauldrons have red rupees inside of them. So I went there and jumped into the boiling pot to see if I could find anything. And yeah, there is money inside of them, for some reason. Also, getting out of this pot was much harder than I expected. But hey, worth it, I guess. Number 7. When you're a child, Kokiri Forest is a lot more fun. There aren't loads of monsters that try to kill you, and almost everyone is friendly. But as soon as you become an adult, oh boy, everyone and everything tries to kill you regardless of your behavior. Now sure, this is also due to the death of the Great Deku Tree, but even creatures that were nice before, normally they just play music on their flute. But when adult Link shows up, they will use this flute to shoot pellets or nuts at you. Now as soon as this happens, most people would just leave them alone, but they drop insane amounts of money, so killing them is actually worth it. And I saw online that using fire arrows is actually super effective because it instantly takes care of them. So I tried this. However, something odd happened. This Skull Kid did a sick backflip and disappeared. Clearly this doesn't work. And worst of all, he is gone now, so you can't get the money. Number 6. So far, we have looked at a number of ways to farm fairies, and I got one last method that we need to test, one that requires patience. According to the internet, you can turn a butterfly into a fairy using nothing more than a Deku stick. All you have to do is find a butterfly in the world and make it follow your stick, which can be a bit tricky because you have to go slowly. So I did exactly that, and yeah, it really works. But again, why? How does this happen? Why does this happen? Who found out about this originally, and why did they try this? Who knows? These are all questions that will never be answered. Number 5. Now this next claim is wild. When I came across it, I immediately added it to the list, because man, this one is too good. In the game there are a bunch of bosses, and while most aren't that hard, there's one that can be a bit tricky. Bongo Bongo. A weird ghost or demon that will attack you with its floating hands like he is Rayman, and these attacks can be hard to dodge. Now usually people solve this problem by getting out of the way or timing spin attacks, but there is a third option. I saw someone use the ice arrow to freeze his hands. This way he can't hit you with them for some time. So I did this. And yeah, as you can see right here, it is frozen solid. And the other hand will try to break the ice. But sadly enough, you can't freeze the other one as well. And while this does work, it doesn't really help you in winning the fight, because you have to hit his hands for his body to drop down. Well, it looks like it doesn't work at least. So cool, but not as useful as you would think. Number 4. One Easter egg that is seen in every Zelda game is the Cucos who will hunt you down and kill you as soon as you attack one of them. For some reason, this whips them into a crazy frenzy, and loads of them will appear out of nowhere and start flying at you. Now, as far as I know, there's only one way to escape their wrath: enter a house or a new area, but that's about it. But then I saw that there's another option, and once again, Zelda's lullaby was involved, because if you play the song, they will stop. Now, after seeing it fix signs, I was convinced that it would work. But when I was being attacked by them and I tried it, nothing happened. They still came after me, no matter what I did. I even tried this multiple times, but they kept coming. So yeah, this claim is 100% false. Sure, this song can fix signs, but calming down chickens? Well, that's a completely different story. Number 3. One criticism of Ocarina of Time that is valid in my opinion is that a lot of the fights involve insane amounts of waiting. The Wolfos is a great example. Most of the time you just stand there and do nothing until he shows his back to you. So is there a way to speed up some of the fight scene in the game? Well, yes. Apparently you can uproot a Deku Scrub using the Megaton Hammer, and these can also take too much time to beat, making this claim an interesting solution for my problems. So I went into the Lost Woods to find a Deku Scrub, and in this grotto I found this fellow, who started shooting at me immediately. In response I ran towards him, and he started hiding in his little flower. So I tried to use the Megaton Hammer to get him out, and this worked! He popped out immediately, and I struck him down. Now of course he surrendered, and even offered me arrows, but that's besides the point. As you can see, this claim is true. Number 2. In Kakariko Village you will find a small house that looks abandoned, but as soon as you enter it, you will find a bunch of Skulltulas. But they aren't just normal Skulltulas. These creatures are cursed Hylians, and you can free them from this by killing the gold Skulltulas that are found around the world. And doing so is totally worth it, because they give you some amazing rewards for helping them out. But I saw people claim that you can actually kill them just like the normal Skulltulas seen in the game. All you need to do is hit them from behind where they have a weak spot. So I tried this. Now, it stunned them, they turned blue, and spun around to punish me. However, it didn't kill them. So while you can mess with them, it is impossible to take them out, no matter which weapon or item you use. Number 1. Now, one way you can make an Ocarina of Time playthrough harder is by not getting any bottles and skipping all the consumables in the entire game. This way you only have one shot at most fights that you encounter. However, there's another way to spice it up, because apparently you can drink Poes that you have in any of your bottles, and these will either heal you or damage you. So it's a bit of a gamble, but is this really in the game? Well, I went to the Kakariko graveyard and captured a few ghosts, but as soon as I started drinking them, them, which is possible, and that blew my mind, I only took damage. So I thought that these couldn't heal you. But then after drinking loads of them, one finally healed me. I mean, it wasn't much, but still. Now, to be honest, losing or gaining a heart is nothing big, but it could spice up a playthrough because gambling is fun. And as you can see, it did replenish all of my magic. So yeah, this claim is true. Now those were all the myths we had for today, but don't forget, there are more videos like this on my channel, so go check them out. For example, this Majora's Mask myth-busting video. Aside from that, be sure to leave your ideas for future myth-busting videos below, leave a like, and subscribe so you won't miss any future episodes.